This video is about my entry for the art challenge Crafting for Hope, so let me talk about it shortly first. My friend PKT over at PKT Crafts started this challenge and donation page to help fight childhood cancer. While the art challenge is now closed, the donation page is still up, so if you want to support a good cause, head over there and yeah, it means a lot. Now on to the video. If you find 3D modeling boring, then the next 1 minute and 27 seconds might be a bit boring. I started out sculpting the Barbarian character in Blender. I only had a slight idea of what I wanted him to look like. The idea was to make a Barbarian who was kneeling, injured, catching his breath after a fierce battle with a large monster. I originally intended his hair to be a dark shade, but once I tried out some different shades, I just thought he looked better as a blonde. Now for the monster, I had no idea what I was doing, other than starting with the Barbarian base mesh and deforming it. I guess I went for a mix of Raziel from Soul Reaver meets Blanca from Street Fighter and Lord Raptor from Darkstalkers. The monster is supposed to be some kind of yeti-like ogre creature corrupted by dark magic. Once both models were done, I rigged them with a basic rig and posed them. This is actually my second attempt at posing the Barbarian. The monster I got a good pose for straight away. After printing them, I realized both lost parts of their foot, a toe on the monster and a whole foot on the Barbarian. Other than that, they turned out great, and so I just resculpted the toe and foot with Tamiya putty, and yeah, that's that. For the base, I took a sheet of plastic art and put it in these feet I 3D printed to make a photo background long ago, and hit the sheet with a heat gun for a bit longer than I should. You can see it bulging a bit in the middle, but this worked out nicely since I was going to have some elevation in the middle anyway. I marked the areas I need with a Sharpie and then cut out the shape with a pair of scissors. The idea was to make those curved backgrounds that give the illusion of the foreground connecting with it. I built a quick wooden frame with some hobby sticks and some spare wood I had lying around to act as the bottom of the base, and then I just superglued the plastic art to the wooden frame. To build up a bit more ground, I whipped out the old homemade sculptor mold and tried to shape the ground a little. This would be covered in snow effects later, so it didn't need to be perfect. Then after a quick gray prime, I started painting the background. I haven't really painted in a while, and I've never really been a landscape painter, so it turned out fine. For the snow itself, I used some AK Interactive snow paste and mixed it with some Army Painter snow to give it some texture. As the snow paste kinda looks like toothpaste on its own, it ended up feeling a bit like wall filler. I then drizzled some AK snow micro balloons all over the diorama to give it a better snow look. Next I base layered the two printed miniatures and then started painting the monster. While the colors aren't a match for the 3D models earlier in the video, I just went with what I thought would look good. I wanted it to have a dark, almost frost damaged looking skin color. Maybe it's also due to the magic. I tried to layer and glaze some lighter tones to bring out the muscle definition. One of my early ideas was to have the monster be decapitated, but I went with it just laying slain in the background. His hair and fur got a more white and grey look. His teeth and nails got a layer of skeleton horde construct paint to make them a bit more dirty looking. So for the Barbarian skin I went with a base layer of medium skin tone from AK. I ended up regretting this as it was way too yellow and the yellow tone shone through a lot of areas in the skin. So I had to glaze away with darker and more pinkish tones to cover it up. I messed around with the skin for way too long, but I got a result I was happy with in the end. So my idea for this diorama was to be inspired by Frank Frazetta paintings. While the subject matter and idea probably fits well, my painting style didn't quite hit the mark. If I'd planned better I might have played around a lot more with the colors and tried to make it look more oil painted, but since I only had a day left when I started painting, I had to go with my own style. And once again I just went with standard metallic paints instead of non-metallic metal. Nothing wrong with it, but the original plan was to do NMM. And it was time to add some blood. This old pot of blood for the blood god is probably around 7 years old. Still going strong. I apparently don't use a lot of blood effects. After gluing the Barbarian to the base, I painted around the monster where I wanted it to lie to mark its position. Then I got out another old paint, or terrain paint in this case, Valhallan Blizzard. I've had this lying around forever and decided I might as well use most of it here. I placed some around the Barbarian, then built up a mound of snow to indicate that the monster had fallen into this area once it was slain. And after that a bit more blood. Some dripping off the Barbarian's injured arm. And some by the monster's mouth and from his chest. The last step was to blend in those nice blue and purple tones from the background into the foreground, and finally a little drizzle of micro balloons to bring back the snow effect in some areas I painted over. And that's the diorama done. If you watched through the whole thing, thank you. Like and subscribe and all that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed and that I will see you on the next one.